Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our favorite podcast, Dig It with Iman. Some people talk about change, others make it happen, and Malala, she has been doing that since she was teenager. From Pakistan to the halls of UN and now to Tanzania. She's on mission to make education every girl's right. Today on Dig It with Imani, we are digging into her trip, her lessons, and her messages from the next generation of change makers. Malala, welcome to Dig It with Imani, and I hope you are still buzzing from the all the good moments you had in Tanzania.
I had amazing moments. I am so thrilled that we are having this conversation together because I have so many things to reflect on, so many things to share about. And trip to Tanzania was one of like the highlights of this year for me. I loved it there. Loved meeting the incredible people, the activists, the girls, and can't wait to talk more about it.
Okay, looking back on your trip to Tanzania, what's the moment that still plays in your mind and what made it so powerful for you?
There were many moments, but one visit I will never forget, and that was the school visit in Dodoma. I think it was Imnia Congo School, secondary school, and I always remember that because there I met girls who were trying to learn despite all the challenges, and we had many sessions together. I visited their classrooms, I joined their morning assembly. They had prepared so many songs and poems, and just to see girls in a school is my dream world, and I was able to see that there. So I loved it, and I was so proud of the work that Imsichana Initiative was doing. I loved the school principal and how incredible she was in running the school. And despite all the challenges, these girls are so determined to keep learning. And one thing which I'll never forget was this round circle that we had with the girls, and and I was asking them about their favorite activities, sports, and what they want to do when they grow up. And it made my day just hearing them talk about how they want to be engineers and lawyers and psychiatrists and surgeons, and some of them just wanted to play cricket and be a runner and be an athlete. And I just love that they saw no limit to what they could do. And some of them had been kicked out of school because they became pregnant at an early age, and they became mothers, and they had no idea that they would be able to return to school. But with the help of this project, Arudi Shule, they were able to come back and once again have their dreams. Um, and yeah, they're just more determined than ever.
That's great. Malala, your work takes you around the world. Why was it important for you to come to Tanzania, not only to visit and learn, but also to celebrate your birthday?
Tanzania is a beautiful country. There is just so much potential when you look at young people there. And we also know that a country is not reaching its full potential if girls are held back, if they're not empowered through education. And in Tanzania, more than 2 million girls do not complete their secondary education. They face many challenges, from harassment in schools to also making it to a school. They have to walk for long distances. The ban on the return of pregnant or young mothers was a huge hurdle, and it's still a challenge in many parts of Tanzania. So for me, it's really important that we go and work with the activists, with the girls in the most difficult parts of the world, where girls still face many challenges. And in Tanzania, for instance, like in rural areas, only 3% of the girls make it to secondary schools and complete it. Like, that is a shocking number, that in some of these most challenging remote areas, very few girls can actually complete their education. So we have to change that. We have to ensure that that we provide education to more girls in Tanzania. It is important not just for the girls and their health and their future and their career. It's important for the country as well, because when we empower girls, we unlock that potential that can help us healthier communities, more prosperous communities, and richer communities.
Mhm. You met so many people when you were here in Tanzania. So, what did you hear and learn from the people you met with?
Yeah, it was incredible to meet all the activists, including you, Imani. It was
Thank
a
you. It
wonderful
was
time.
my pleasure.
I think these sessions are really important because, of course, you want to go and meet as many people as you can. You want to visit projects and meet some representatives and meet some politicians and all of that. But I think it's so important for us to connect with the activist community, to connect with the civil society, because they are they are the backbone of of these places. They are driving change, and this is exactly the model of Malala Fund.
Mhm.
We invest in education activists who are leading this work on the ground, who are leading this work in their states, in their provinces, in their countries. And for us, we did not need any convincing to pick that model, because that's how my father and I started our activism. We we were not getting any support. We had no idea about funding and all of that. But we were just two people, a father and a daughter, who wanted a better world for girls. We were against the ban on girls education. We wanted girls to have a better future, not be forced into marriage, not be denied the opportunity to learn. So I know that my father and my story is not an exception. There are
Mhm.
so many incredible activists out there. So I had a great opportunity to meet some of them in Tanzania, and they were just incredible, learning how they are working on the ground to address the barriers that girls face in access to education. Like, so many stories stayed with me from that conversation, like how one of the activists herself was affected by the ban on the return of, like, pregnant or young
Mhm.
mothers to schools, and how she herself stood up for her right to learn. But now she knows that it's not that easy for all girls, and we need to do more. And then they were sort of also highlighting how they need more support, they need more funding, they need more people to stand with them. And I think that's how we can actually drive change. There's so many things we need to do at the global level, at the national level, but I think it's the bottom up. It's really like working
Mhm.
with the communities. So I had an incredible time, like meeting different activists in different parts of Tanzania, and they were really transforming communities.
Speaking about funding Malala, so much of what we are up to against comes down to having the funding to turn ideas into real changes. From your perspective, how do we meet that challenge?
Yes, it is a big issue. Funding is what makes the work happen. So we have to talk about this topic. I think a lot of the times you just hear about these activists being admired and being called brave and courageous. But, we need to go beyond just commending them and saying nice things about them. We need to make sure that they can get the work done. And, like, as passionate I am about education and how I have like lived my whole life doing this activism, I cannot transform a community the same way in Tanzania that a Tanzanian activist can do, that a young woman Tanzanian activist can do. So for Malala Fund, it is this model that we invest, we give grants to local education activists who are addressing these challenges. And for me, I think we need to do more of this work. We need to make sure that they get the funding, they get enough funding, they get unrestricted funding. And that, one of your colleagues was just sharing with us how they feel so drained, they feel so much pressure, they feel like, like there's lack
We are
of
not
trust.
doing much.
We're
Yeah.
not doing much, or like there's lack of trust, that people who are sort of funding them are giving them either very very small grants, or just are making the thing so complicated that they are, that they want to have the time to be able to do work, right? Like, the work is
Mhm.
the most important thing. So I think, like Malala Fund, we need more organizations to step in and to provide more funding to the local education activists. because that's how we can drive real change, and that is happening in Tanzania. I'm so inspired by the work of the activists in Tanzania, those that Malala Fund supports, and those who are are not yet our grantees, but they're doing just incredible work, and it stayed with me. Yeah.
So when you meet with leaders, not only in Tanzania, I know you are meeting a lot of young leaders, activists around the globe. How do you push them to move from promises to actions?
That is a very good question. um, this is the definition of my advocacy: moving people from promises to real action. And all of this is part of the change we want to see. There was a time, I remember, just 10 years ago, when leaders were not talking about secondary education. There was a time when they were not really taking the completion of 12 years of education as seriously. So we have come a long way, where now the conversation is around secondary education. It is around addressing the problems that cause girls dropout. So I'm like really proud of the work that we have done. But we also know that we have to talk about the bigger problems that is causing all of this to happen. And one of the biggest challenges is actually the funding reality. A lot of the developing countries are spending more on repaying debt than they are spending on education, health, and everything else combined. That is focused on focused on like social protection, and so we need to like address those issues as well. So this conversation around financing architecture and redefining that, ensuring that we can unlock these resources and then allocate them towards education, towards health, and towards women empowerment. It's really important, and that's why President Kikwete, who was the former president of Tanzania, he is now the chair of the Global Partnership for Education. So we had some sessions with him as well, and where Malala Fund is working in collaboration with GPE to ensure that the developed countries, do more to unlock the resources that we need. And like one research that we did showed us that the 10 countries that where girls face many challenges and access to education have to pay 4 times as much on repaying debt than they can on education. So this is a real limitation. So yeah, I think for us, we need a collective voice, and I want to call the G20 leaders. I want to call our world leaders to do more for unlocking the resources that girls need to be in school. We need to make sure that we are addressing the real problems and the real challenges, and ensuring everything that we can do to create a world where every girl is able to complete her education.
Thank you, Malala. We are in the digital era, and now almost everything has been digitalized. How do you see the connection of digital development and education, especially the experience you had in Tanzania? Do you see this as a priority, especially in local schools that you visited in Tanzania?
I think digital education is now part of education. I think the problem that we need to address is, how do we make it accessible? How do we ensure that girls have all the access to it? And we also need to talk about the cultural and the social norms issues that are related to it. In many communities, it is considered a taboo for girls to have access to these tools. Or, there's also the issue of safety as well. There's also the issue of how these tools are used in the best way to actually help students learn. And I think, we cannot sort of let it be as it is. I think we have to be more active. But I think at the same time, technology, it is a tool, and it is up to us how we use it efficiently. And when I think about technology, I also think about the great opportunities that it brings, because think about like really remote areas, think about places like Afghanistan where girls are banned from education. Technology
Mhm.
can help girls learn in these severe extreme circumstances where either access to school is extremely difficult, or they're literally banned from learning. So I think sort of in the short term it can also be really beneficial in that way. But I think it has now become part of schools, part of education, and there's so much to be done. But also there's like so many topics to cover around digital education, like so many things, and I'm sure you know about this more than me.
Exactly. Thank you, Malala, for sharing that. And maybe
But would love to
finally, I
hear your
think
insights as well. Would love to hear your insights, like what has that work been like for you? Because digital access has been one of your priorities.
for me, I would say yes, because of digital and technological development. I have been heard as a journalist, as an activist. I've been gotten a lot of opportunities around the globe just because of digital technologies, but only, as you said, if it has been positively used. And of course, we have a great job to do in terms of empowering students and young girls on how they can take advantages of digital technologies, because as in analogy, it's also the same in digital space. Challenges are the same. Pushbacks are the same. So there's a lot of challenges, including cyberbullying, harassment, but also connectivity challenges. The developing countries like Tanzania, places like in the villages, there is no even access. People has to travel some kilometers just to access network, but also the expenses of internet bundles is also a challenge. So yet we are also have to be very keen when it comes to data protection and identities, because when we talk about young girls, we also talk about these pupils from primary schools who are still young, and we have to protect their digital identities. Probably they won't be interested to use digital technologies when they are mature people. So I think it's also a broad topic, and we have a lot of things to cover around it. And I think when it comes to digital, it's tricky. We have to learn every day, because it's the space that is very fast growing. And as the opportunities come, the challenges are also the same coming. So it's a bit tricky, but it's a interesting sphere to explore and learn. And I'm really enjoying covering and advocating for digital technologies and digital rights in Africa.
Yeah, you're doing amazing work. I'm so proud of the work that you do, and we should all be addressing these challenges.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think a lot of people are listening and look at you and think, she's Malala. She can walk into any room, but change starts small. I know you didn't sleep and wake up and find yourself where you are. So, what's your message to the girls and activists listening to you today?
Ah, I always remind girls and young women that your voice matters, even when it feels small and shaky. And just remember that when we speak together, our voices cannot be ignored. We become louder than ever. So every time when you share your story, when you stand up for what you believe in, you're building the future that you want to see. You're setting a new pathway for yourself and for the generation after you. So everything that you do, it matters. It is impactful. Never doubt yourself, and also know that you are not alone. You are not alone. I stand with you. Many others stand with you, and we will make change happen. And the change that you already see, it is because of the activism of your elders, of your mothers, your grandmothers, and every other person who believes in a better world for girls. So we will continue that legacy. And I am personally just so thrilled and so excited for the potential that is there in Tanzania, but the work that is already in momentum, and how we can accelerate it and do more to see the change a lot sooner in our lifetime.
Thank you, Malala. That's very, very great message, not only to those who are listening to us or watching us, but also to myself. This has been an encouragement message for me as well. And thank you so much for joining us today. We normally say, from online to face, but me and you has been from face to online.
Yeah, it was so wonderful, like spending time with you. And my trip to Tanzania was definitely one of the best trips I have ever made. I was like so excited, even though it's technically a lot of work and a lot of meetings, a lot of travel. But I was just so thrilled to be among the company of great, inspiring girls, community leaders, activists. I loved my trip to Zanzibar. I thought it was so beautiful. I loved spending time in Dar es Salaam, and of course in Dodoma as well. I think spending time with the girls was incredible. And I have been trying to learn a bit of Swahili as well, so it was
Yes.
really nice to say Asante Sana, and yeah, to have a bit of that conversation as well. I was trying to speak to the girls, and so if a girl was too shy, I would just say Jina langu ni Malala, and then they would just smile. They're like, "Wow, you speak Swahili." I was like, just 2-3 sentences, not more than that.
Uh,
They were really excited, and so
uh-huh.
determined. I think like these girls, they are the future of Tanzania. That's what we have to remember.
Of course.
Helping them really unlocks this this potential, this huge potential for Tanzania and for the rest of the world as well. So we need to ensure that as a community we do more. Our leaders, that we hold them accountable. I hope that the return of teenage or young mothers can become part of the law as well, because that is the advocacy that our activists in Tanzania are leading. Right now, Malala Fund is supporting 11 grantees, 11 organizations, and we have supported their work since 2022. We have given like $3.5 million in grants, and this year we issued $1 million again. So we will continue doing this work. And my hope is that yes, we're moving in a positive direction, but my hope is that we can ensure that girls are protected by law, that their right to education is protected, and resources for their education are also secured. So that is something we want to see, so that every girl can complete her education, choose her own future, and thrive.
Thank you so much, Malala. Thank you for standing for all girls around the globe. You are doing a really amazing job, and you are inspirational to many of us. And please keep inspiring us. We are watching you. We might not say, but we are learning a lot from you. And we welcome you again to Tanzania. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, dada Imani, dada yangu Imani.
Asante sana dada yangu Malala, and we would love to have you again in the near future here at Dig It with Imani. Today's conversation has been so fruitful, and I have had an amazing moment listening to you. I've not only done an interview, but also it has been my pleasure learning from you as well. All you have said matters, and I hope through you many girls are getting hope, and they are making steps, whether in lifetime or in just personal capacity in terms of decision making, self-awareness, and the like. So thank you so much, and karibu tena.
Yeah, thank you so much. And one more thing, I love the food in Tanzania. The food is delicious. So can't wait to visit you again. Can't wait to eat more and spend more time with you.